going through these lessons, can I tell you, as a parent, I learned things that I was like shocked at some of the things that were discussed in our lessons. My children shared with me people who had come up to them and offered them drugs. They shared with me things that I was literally shocked. And I mean, do you think they would think that that was important information to talk to the mom about? No, I didn't know a thing about it until we got into some of these character lessons. And they said, oh, yeah, that happened to me about 4 months ago at school. This kid came up and he offered me, and I'm just listening to him and I go, oh, really? And where were you? He knew exactly where he was, what he said, how he responded, and then I praised the good character because he didn't take the drugs and he, you know, but inside I'm going, oh my gosh, why didn't I hear about this 4 months ago? But the things that came up in our family discussions were just, it's invaluable. To me, it is well worth 20 minutes of preparation to have discussions like we had as we sat together. Honestly, I felt like I could put out fires before the fires were even there, you know, just by the things that they were thinking and speaking and talking about. So the first thing that we usually do is we start out with the actual definition of what it is. So I would just say, okay, today we're talking about compassion. Does anyone know what compassion is, or who a compassionate person is? Can you tell me what a compassionate person does? And then we'd say, okay, compassion is investing whatever is necessary to heal the hurts of others. So let's talk about that. Doing whatever is necessary to heal the hurts of others. Okay, how do we get hurt in life? Let's talk about it. Well, people say bad things or do this or that. How can we heal people, and what can we do? We can listen, different things. So you talk a little bit about the definition. The thing I like about the book is it will give the definition and it will give the exact opposite. So you're compassionate or you're indifferent, okay? And very often when it says the opposite, you can better understand what the actual thing is. Okay, the next part is very often we have our youngest child always tell the animal, and there's always an animal that they link to the character trait. And trust me, it sounds so weird, but this is how the children remember what it is to be compassionate. It's through the animal.
The zebra.
Yeah. So this one is the zebra, you know, or busy as a beaver, you know, the really working is the little beaver. And, you know, but they talk about the character trait of the animal, and these children, really, that is how they remember what it is to be compassionate or, you know, content or whatever it is. Okay, so we do that, and then the next thing we usually do is we talk about the scriptures that relate to whatever we're talking about. And so in compassion, I know that there are some stories that are shared about the Savior and how he was compassionate, how he healed other people, and how he did that. So there's discussion that goes there. Most always, I will say, is there anyone that you know that you can just think of right now who's compassionate? And I remember one lesson, you know, where we were talking about being bold. How being bold is saying things that are true, but not offending other people. And I remember that one of my children said, oh, that is like President Hinckley. He can say anything in front of people. You know, so those of you who are LDS, you know President Hinckley, he's passed on now. But he could speak in a very loving way, the truth, and not offend other people. And so it's so great to just look around you and try to identify people who are whatever the character trait is, okay? The next part that I absolutely love is the part where it says, compassion in the home includes, and then it lists what it includes. And this is the part where we really focus on and talk about each of those. Is there someone here who has their glasses on or who can read? My glasses are in the other room.
Hold it over here for you.
Here you go.
No, I'm the same boat you're in.
Okay, read loud if you don't mind. Just read each of those statements, just each statement.
Compassion in the home includes realizing each other's needs for love and attention and planning outings and activities to meet those needs.
Okay, so realizing each other's needs for love and attention and planning activities to meet those needs. Now really, you could pause right there and say, let's talk about that. What do you think this is saying? And boy, the children will jump right on these and say, yeah, we could do this and we could do that, and start planning activities of what you could do as a family to be compassionate and meet the needs of each other. because the children will always share what their needs are, let's face it, you know? And so as a parent, you listen and you take that in and you say, that's great, can we do that Wednesday, or schedule it in, you know? Okay?
Sensing each other's need for respect and listening to ideas with an open mind.
So you can talk about listening to one another with an open mind. Do we do that in our family? And as a mom, I try to think of positive examples where the children have done that recently. And I can say, you know, Ben, remember last week when you were telling me about this? Can you remember, you did this, you're really good at that. You know, so you're praising the children, talking about it, okay?
Seeking to understand another's struggles from his or her viewpoint and experiences.
Good.
And being willing to give up activities that could disappoint and hurt one another.
Yeah. So really, when can you see how, I mean, these are things we can do in our home, but can you see how children would just say, yeah, that means this, or to one it might mean something, to another it might mean something else, but you have this family discussion, and it really is powerful, just trust me. I mean, the Spirit comes and you're working together, and there's open communication, decisions are made, and you all feel like you're on the same page, you're all working together, okay?
The rewards of compassion.
Yeah, so the next section that we always talk about is okay, so these are some things we can do in our home. So you've raised their awareness level of what compassion is, how you can implement it in the home, and then you end by telling what the rewards are. If we are compassionate, these are the things that will happen, okay?
Favor. A person who diligently seeks the good of another will receive approval and favor of those who observe their unselfish actions.
And so then you talk and you say, do you want friends? Do you want people to like you? Being compassionate is a way to get other people to like you.
Friendship. Becoming involved in the life of another brings a deeper level of intimacy and friendship.
And so there you just talk about friendship and how it all fits together. Okay, so you can see really in 20 minutes you can talk about compassion. By the time the 20 minutes is over, everyone understands what it is to be compassionate. Wouldn't you say, from just going through this? Everyone's taught a little part of the lesson, and so you feel pretty good. The last thing that you do, and this is not part of the program, but like I've taken so many classes on setting goals and achieving goals, and I know that if you don't take a moment and set a goal and write it down, it probably won't get done. So once you have a good feeling in the room, you've all talked about compassion, I say to my children, okay, how are you going to implement this in your life this week? How are you going to show compassion? And so it's so great because in the book, it lists I will statements. And so the I will statements for compassion are, okay, so it says this, I will stop to help. Okay, so if you're compassionate, you'll stop to help. If you see someone who has a flat tire, you stop and help. If someone is in a grocery store and they need your help, you stop. Even though you're busy, you stop and help people who need help. You listen when others want to talk. So if your brother wants to talk and you want to go watch TV, you listen while they talk because that's helping them. Give of my resources to help those in need. So you can talk about that. Look for lasting solutions. Comfort others without regard to race, gender, faith, age, or nationality. So those are the I will statements. So that gets them brainstorming and thinking. Then you have these blank lines and you say, okay, what are you going to do this week to show that you are compassionate? I will. And so you start each statement, I will, and you list what you will do. I remember the week that we did being alert. And it's the very first lesson because everything is in alphabetical order, okay? And you don't have to go in alphabetical order and do them in order. You might start with the thing that you're struggling with the most in your family. It might be being punctual or whatever it might be. You might start there, or you might start, what I would really do is start where you're very, very strong. So that first lesson, it's total praise of the children. Boy, you guys, you know, I think this is one area where we're strong in this family, you know, and kind of talk about those areas.